Now, who would ever thought that your parents letting you and also encouraging you and your sister to bring home stray animals would lead to being the founder of the largest animal shelter in Ukraine, and in fact, the largest in all of Europe? Today's episode is a very, very special one. On September 3rd, I left Austin traveling to Ukraine, and for those of you that don't know, I regularly volunteer in conflict zones, and I try to do whatever I can to give back to those that are affected by these horrible situations. Now, I arrived in Kyiv on September 5th, literally about 60 hours after traveling. Now, the backstory was, since I was traveling to Ukraine, I thought it would be a great opportunity to find out about all the things that are happening with the animals and the situation there, especially with this war going on. Well, that's how I found out about Animal Shelter Sirius and its founder, Alexandra Mezinova, and her sister, Larysa Khmara. The shelter is about 45 minutes from Kyiv and was occupied from the Russians when they first invaded. Now, it's home to over 3,000 animals, and it's one of the most impressive sights I've ever seen. Now, think about this. From being taken as a prisoner to struggling to feed these animals, their story is almost unbelievable. What they've overcome and accomplished, it's incredible. You know how some people are just born to do whatever they do? Alexandra is the epitome of that. While walking through the property over several hours, she literally knew the name of all the animals. Now here's a crazy tidbit. 1/3 of the creatures are from the front lines. You see, animals are affected by the war too. So be forewarned, the quality of the recording is not what you usually hear. The recording was live, on site, with a really unsophisticated setup outside. And you're going to hear dogs barking the entire time. But trust me, the story outweighs the quality of the recording, and their story impacted me in ways I can't even put it to words. And I really believe once you've heard it, you too will be impacted the way I was, and I really still am.
For real, 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 for real. Got a bunch of furry friends and I love them all the same. I'm an animal lover, veterinarian is the name. Let's share some pet stories from heartwarming to strange, losses and games, from wacky to insane. For real. You're now tuned in to For Real with your host, Mark Kyle.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the For Real podcast. Today I've got a great one for you. I'm actually in Ukraine. I wanted to visit the largest animal shelter in Ukraine as well as all over Europe. It's called the Sirius Shelter. And two sisters are with me, the founder and her sister who runs everything else. Please welcome Alexandra and Larysa. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hello guys, and we are in the biggest shelter in Ukraine, Sirius. And our shelter is the biggest in Europe too.
Yeah. So here's the deal for everybody listening. So Larysa speaks pretty good English. I'm going to talk a little bit slower than normal. Alexandra knows a little bit, so we're going to do a little bit of interpretation. Just bear with us. So guys, here's what I want to do. I want to talk about how you guys got started, how you become animal lovers. I know it goes back to your family. So you want to tell a little bit of stories when you were younger and how you got to where we are today?
And today we have 3,000 animals, and Alexandra is a founder of this shelter, and I'm a director of the organization Animal Shelter Sirius. And we have many dogs and many cats in this shelter. That's why we are the biggest.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about first, though, let's talk about when you guys were little girls and your family, you all loved animals, because to get to be the biggest animal shelter in the world, you've got to have some background when you were little. So tell me a little bit about your parents, what they let you do with your animals, and then let's talk about how Sirius got started.
Mm-hmm. And the story of shelter begins from, I think, from our parents, because our parents liked animals very much, and that's why we tried to save every animal on the street, and we cure them and we treat them and we tried to care to take care of them every day. And my parents didn't forbid us to take animals from the streets and take stray animals. And we have 4 or three or four animals in our and fish and in our home.
Well, the crazy thing is, when you think about when you're little and your parents let you bring all these animals, after walking through this place today, I've never seen anything so big. It's huge. So you go from 3 or 4 animals who are growing up, and let's talk a little bit because Alexandra started this thing. Let's talk
Yeah.
about how it got started, where she was, and how we got to where we're now. Because for you guys listening, we're about 35 to 40 miles just outside of Kyiv in Ukraine, and so, but and you get if you, I wish we had a video on this thing just to see how amazing it is, and you guys need to look at social media. But let's talk about how you started, how Alexandra started at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and then how we got to today. And I want to hear some stories because I want to get into the Russian occupation and all the animals that are here.
Yeah. And Alexandra, we were born in Nikolaev, and then we moved to Kyiv. And she had a dream to create the shelter. It was her dream from childhood. And
So we didn't say that. So since you were little, you always wanted to have a shelter to take. That's what you wanted to do when you were little.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it was an apartment in Kyiv where she could rescue the animals, stray animals, and then she decided she has a big quantity of animals. That's why she decided to make a shelter. And it was the first place near Kyiv, 40 kilometers from Kyiv. And she bought a little farm where she could make enclosures for dogs. And then we spread the love to the in a big
Compound.
yes. And then we found the bigger place and the bigger territory where we could set more enclosures and more dogs and rescue and save more animals. And not only dogs and cats too.
Wait a minute. It's not only dogs and cats. You've got sheep. You've got birds.
Yes,
you've
we
got-
have hedgehogs. We have hedgehogs. We have iguanas and wolves and pigs. Small
Yeah,
pigs.
small pigs.
Yes, small pigs and rabbits too.
So you guys said you hear all the dogs barking. Now keep in mind, there's over 3,000 dogs here, and this is only a portion of it. And we're actually filming outside. I wanted it to really feel like it was.
For real, 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 for real.
And we'll be right back. We are supported by PrepVet, providing stem cell therapy for pets.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover Prep Therapy today at PrepVet.com. Save 10% with promo code FurRealPodcast, covered by most pet insurance.
let's go back in time. So you guys decided you wanted to do this thing. You do this thing. You've got all these animals, but now let's go to the Russian occupation because I know about 30% of these dogs are from front lines. You're getting them, but let's get back in time. I know the first one was in what, 2014?
The shelter was created in 2000, and we had it wasn't the very large quantity of animals, but then before the war, we had 3,500 animals, and when the war started in 2022, our shelter was in occupation 35 days. And it was a terrible time for animals and for staff and for our founder Alexandra, because Russians ran to the shelter, and they wanted to find Ukrainian military in our shelter, and they ran with weapon. And we thought that they would kill our dogs.
So I want to add something here. So where the shelter is located is actually where the Russians had actually occupied this area.
Yeah.
So and it's a big area, but they were here, and there's all kinds of great stories you have about that. But let's talk a little bit about how when Alexandra said she was going to be shot by them because she got caught in a warehouse full of guns or something like that. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, and we Alexandra and two guys. They tried to find some food. They went around the village, and they wanted to take some food. In fields,
because you guys were out of food here, so they were going.
Yeah.
You were going around. Actually, if I remember correctly, you were going to the neighbors trying to collect food just to be able to one, feed yourself, and two, to feed the dogs.
Yeah,
and the cats.
And we
and all the other ones.
Потрібно взагалі 1,5 тонни в день. А тоді було
And we need. I said that we need 1,500 kilograms for feeding our animals.
3, 2, 1. So, Jake, for you're listening here, so we're going to have to edit this in. So we go back to kilograms. So you're when you were feeding the dogs, you're doing how many kilograms a day were you feeding the dogs?
1,600. Kilograms we have we need for our dogs, and we need dry foods and dry food, and we must feed our animals porridge with meat, with sausages, etc. And because we haven't got a lot of money to buy them dry food, and it is a very big problem in summer, for example, because porridge is spoiled very quickly, and we have problems with feeding, and it is expensive for our shelter to buy every day this quantity of food.
So when we were talking about this earlier, when I was doing the math, you figured it cost somewhere around between $2,500 and $3,000 a day. So it's basically $1 a dog on the low end, and that's for not high grade stuff. That's just some of the stuff. But what I want to get into, and I want to go back to this in a second, but let's talk about when the Russians came here and occupied. Okay, so I think I know you guys have been helping the dogs from the first occupation, which was like 2014. The shelter's been around since 2000. You actually, October is your 25th anniversary. But let's talk about this last war that's been going on, the one I'm more aware of. You guys were occupied in the shelter itself was in an occupied zone for 35 days. Tell me a little bit of what that was like, and we're going to get into some of the stuff that Alexandra had to deal with and things like that. But I mean, it really affected you guys because you weren't here, though, right? Alexandra was here, right? So let's talk about what that was, how you're feeding the dogs, because you're surrounded by Russians at this point.
And it was very difficult to be in occupation. It is, and we can say that we were frightened, and we were 35 days in occupation, and it was the maximum days because we understood that we wouldn't survive the next days if the occupation would be long.
Right.
Would be long. And Alexander and two guys, they went to search the food around the village. Because it was a very small area,
Right.
Area where they can find something.
Right.
That's why. But one day they were stopped by Russians because they occasionally they saw the weapons. Russian weapons, and they captured them. Russians captured them, and they threw them to the basement.
Right.
And where they were under the guns, and the Russians would like to kill them.
Right.
And what happened? Our army began to shoot, and there were explosions, and Russians said that go away and feed your animals.
Right.
And they could go away under the explosions, but alive.
So there's a couple of things I want to add here. First off, one of the reasons why she had to go out and try to scrounge her food is because no food could get in because you're in a war. So there's no food there. She had to find something there. Not only that for them, but for her to eat. That's one thing. The other thing is I want to talk about the situation when the Russians came into the shelter here. Again, it's 3 hectares or 3.5 hectares, right? So it's a big space. It's not huge, but it's a big space. And they're looking for Ukrainian soldiers. So you have to mind, you guys have been listening. You can hear all the dogs barking in the background. When you hear that, now I want you to hear this story. So the Russians come in here, and what are the dogs doing?
And at the first days, the Russians ran into the shelter, into the shelter, and they ran with a weapon, and they wanted to find a Ukrainian soldier in our shelter, but it was a miracle because the dogs were calm. They didn't bark, and it was a silence.
Silence.
It was a silence, yes, and because when Russians went to the village, they killed every dog which
they shot
barked.
them and threw grenades at them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's crazy. I mean, think about this. Again, I'm going to remind everybody, when you can hear the dogs in the background, and that's a portion of it. It's loud in here.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, these soldiers come in here and the dogs are silent because they're scared because they know
Yeah,
something's bad.
I think they were scared, and maybe they are very clever.
They know
That's why
something
they
evil is
understood.
here.
They understood that
Yeah.
it will be better. Would be better to
Be quiet.
be quiet.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's,
that's why.
yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So again, so I want to talk a little bit about that. So the other thing is that what Alexander heard from the village is that when the Russians came in here and all of a sudden they didn't hear any sound,
Mm-hmm.
that the village believed.
Yes, and villagers, villagers said when Alexandra came to village after this Russian invasion, the villagers said that the animals, the dogs, were killed because. It was silence in shelter,
Right.
and without noise, without sounds. That's why it is evident that the dogs are
dead.
killed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And well, luckily they weren't. And so now let's talk about, I mean, the war's still going on. There's constant bombing going still and all that kind of stuff. But let's talk about some of the residual facts from that. Part of the problem you guys have now, the war's been going on now for 3.5 years, almost exactly. Started in April or February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it started in February, so of 2022.
Yeah.
And so 3.5 years later, when the Russians were no longer occupying this area, you guys started getting a lot more volunteers. People were adopting dogs because they got in the news and all this kind of stuff. You were getting donations. But now we're talking 3.5 years later. And I'm calling it war fatigue or just news fatigue. You're now not getting the same kind of donations for it. People are supporting you, but not the way they were. The other problem you have is because adoptions aren't level, they're going down just because of everything. You're still taking in every dog that comes to you. So you're getting more dogs, you're getting less donations, and you're getting less support. So, and a lot of that has to do with the war. And the other problem you have right now, because when obviously it costs a lot of money to run something like this, is food, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things you had mentioned today was Germany was going to send a bunch of food to you, which would be great, except having just come here, I mean, literally got here today, and being at the border when I took a bus from Poland, because you can't fly here. So at the border, and I was with a bus that would get you through fast, that still was a couple hours for me. But for trucks, it could be a day. It could be longer because you've got to go through Polish customs and you also have to go through Russian customs. So now you've got all this food here, but you can't get it. That's one problem.
Yes, it's problem and logistic problem, and the foreigners didn't want to go to Ukraine, and
Yeah, except for me.
it is comprehension.
Yeah, so getting people to come here, because I know you said that when some people do visit, if they're at the border and they're driving, they'll put their vehicle and they'll bring food that way for you. But that's a small quantity when you guys are going through, 5,000 pounds of food every day. So there's that problem. The other thing you mentioned, we were talking about this earlier about spay and neuter. You can't spay and neuter because there's a shortage for the drugs to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So you guys have a shortage in drugs here right now. You can't get that because you can't get anything.
No.
Because there's a war. Bottom line, it's a war. That's horrible. I mean, it really is horrible.
For real, 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 for real.
And we'll be right back. We are supported by PrepVet, providing stem cell therapy for pets.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover PrEP therapy today at PrepVet.com. Save 10% with promo code FurRealPodcast, covered by most pet insurance.
But one of the things I also wanted to talk about is when you walk along to all the suites that are here with all the animals, you have it's a ready sign that's up on all the different suites. So there's animals there, and those are animals that were in the front lines, were affected by the war. And and I mean, your number you told me earlier was roughly a third of the animals here are from the front lines.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some of the stories about some of the animals in the front lines. One of the things that resonated with me, because I knew a little bit about it, was the dam that had been broken that stopped the Russians from coming in. Yeah. But all the animals got displaced because a huge amount of water came there. So I know there was a family of dogs we saw, because, by the way, it's really cool when you walk through, you guys who are listening, is you'll see a family of dogs. They all look like your brothers and sisters hanging out there, sometimes a mom and dad, too. Yeah. But I remember there's one family in particular of dogs that had been in the water, and you guys had to do what to get it? Talk a little bit about that. It's a cool story.
And we try to accept all animals from frontline zones, but it is difficult because we the biggest shelter, and we didn't, and we don't have
but the one family, you had to jump in the water to get those dogs.
We don't have many enclosures for our animals, and that's why. But we can't refuse the military because the military
brings a bunch
military
of dogs
and volunteers, because they save the animals and they rescue their lives. And I think it wasn't right. It will be won't right.
Well, that's what you
don't
do.
Accept.
So you get, the military brings a lot of animals to you.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, though, like, there's some really cute dogs that are probably teenagers that have been here since they're puppies because they didn't get adopted, because, again, the adoption rate's down lower too. One is people aren't coming here. One of the things you mentioned today is that it's really difficult for people to adopt from the U.S. because of some regulations and that. It's doable, though, for you guys who are listening in the U.S. If you're looking for a dog, here's a great place to get one. But the problem is you got these dogs, these whole families that are growing up here because of the situation.
Yeah, and we now we have many animals from Kupiansk, Kharkivsky region, because it's frontline zone, and we saved, we accepted 30 animals from Kupiansk.
Just recently?
More than 30 animals from Kupiansk. And the second year, we took animals from Kupiansk because habitants abandoned many animals in this town. And that's why we and the other habitants try to evacuate them.
Well, the other thing is too is what it's not like sometimes people are just abandoning their animals, but oftentimes when there's a loud noise or it's scary, the animals get scared and you can't find them, and you have to save your family. So the animals get left because they can't find them.
There are many people who left our country, and they abandoned many animals, and we must take them.
You're the new parents
to the shelter.
You're the new parents.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some stories, because what I loved about when I was walking with you and your sister was by the way, you could say you have a story about every single one that's here. And just for you guys listening, you can walk for about an hour and a half, and then you eventually see the whole thing. But they know all that. You have dog animals, and you knew their names and all that. So tell a few stories of some of the ones that were frontline dogs, because those always have kind of a special story that resonate with a lot of people that were injured, shot. One was one ran over or shot by a tank? I wasn't quite understanding that. Whatever the ones you want to talk about, and say their name, because I know some Ukrainian name that I can pronounce. So say the name, so maybe someday I'll figure out how to say that. But anyways.
And we, at the beginning of the war, we we rent some trucks, three trucks, and we evacuated big dogs, Alibi, from Nikolaev.
And that was where you grew up.
Nikolaev was under the constant explosions, and that's why we and they asked this shelter, Nikolaev shelter, asked us to take only 3 alibis, but it was 3 trucks of alibis.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 trucks full of alibis.
Yes. Yeah. And we found the alibi too, the white alibi in Bucha, and it was a story that the boy called us and said that he found the alibi in the big hole. And we went to this place, and we found the alibi with shooting, with
gunshot,
with injured animal was, and we learned the history that there were 2 alibi. It was brother and sister. They were brother and sister, and Russians killed them. They tortured their brother, and they killed him, and they terrorized this sister, and then they left this alibi in the hole, and they I think that they thought that it died, and that they lost it in this hole, and she was in a terrible condition, and we took it to our shelter, and we cure, we recover, and we treat this animal. And then it was very beautiful.
Yeah, so
very beautiful dog.
You guys have so many of those stories about it. I mean, there's just so many of them. So, the hard part is you can't spay and neuter them, and then you want to treat them, but you can't get the food. And let's talk a little bit about, because you can't get the food, you guys are now cooking every day, all day long, making, as you call it, porridge, which is a bunch of stuff in there. And this kitchen, the huge kitchen you guys have, for you guys listening, it reminds me of some kitchens I've seen in Kenya, like out in the outback, because you guys have got to do this to feed these animals. It's the least expensive way of doing it, because you can't even get dry dog food because you can't afford it. And so you guys pretty much rely on completely donations, right?
Yeah.
And sponsoring. I know you write. One of the things you do is grant writing.
We have. We haven't constant sponsors, and that's a problem for us, because only 2 or 3 sponsors which we have, they can pay monthly,
right?
And the others they help to build, for example, 10 enclosures, and this help is once a year, maybe
Right.
once a month, maybe once a year.
Right.
And this is a problem because we can't calculate our expenses, and now we accept many animals from war zones, and they are injured, they wounded, and we must treat them in vet clinics.
Right.
And we have very, very big debts in
vet bills.
yes, in this
Ideally, because one of the
clinics.
things that I saw when we were walking through here, you have an area where you want to have a vet clinic eventually. Then you could have rotating vets come in volunteering for you if you had a clinic here, which is another thing we need money for.
Yeah.
I'm, by the way, if you guys can tell, I'm trying to remind everybody they need money, but there's a lot of things that need to be done here just to keep it going. Along with just making it better than that. So, are there any stories that stand out to you that you want to tell anybody about that it may just be one of those heart-wrenching stories that somebody's there? They're one of your favorite stories? Do you have a favorite one?
And,
or I'm sure you have a lot, but
about our animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Before we get there, let's talk about the cats. For you guys to listen, they have this amazing cat house that all these different things in different rooms they have there. And there's even a kitten room, which is even more awesome. But a lot of these cats are from the same thing. They're from the front lines doing the same thing. So there's plenty of cats there and plenty of dogs as well. But is there a story that you remember that stands out from the front lines, or even one that's not front lines that you just want to kind of finish up the story as we get done here? Anyone that stands out to you? If not, no big deal.
And we can say about for example, about our small Pekingese.
Pekingese, yeah, Pekingese.
Pekingese.
Is
They are sister and brother. No, they are two.
They look like sister and brother.
And you could see this Pekingese in the enclosure without. It was without eye, without eyes.
Oh, the one missing now. I remember.
Right. Right eye and left eye.
I remember that one now. Yeah.
They are from Zaporizhia, and they from
you guys can't see this. These two
Zaporizhia.
sisters are helping each other out, talking about the story. It's very funny.
And they were evacuated in 2023, and they were under explosion, and they lost their eyes. And we made an operation, and now they are without eyes.
So they're blind.
But they live because they were evacuated.
And that costs money.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I want to talk about for everybody that's listening, if you go to the description of the episode, you're going to see all these links. But how do people find you on social media? Can you give everybody where you guys are on TikTok, Instagram, and all that kind of stuff? Your website, and I want you to tell everybody exactly what they are, and then I want Alexandra to say it in Ukrainian for anybody that's listening. So you do it in English. And you can do that. I'm going to make her talk. She's standing here and not talking, so make her do something while we're here. So go ahead and do that. So tell everybody, how do they find you on social media? Where do they find you? What's the address? What's the name under?
Yeah, we have and Instagram and Facebook. We have and website.
And it's Sirius Shelter. Is that how they find?
Shelter, yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have TikTok? I don't remember if you have TikTok. Are you on TikTok? You're on TikTok too.
TikTok
Serious.
too.
You're gonna have to say this in Ukrainian. So instead of shaking your head, you gotta say that. You're not getting out of this.
She guess.
She just sits here, gets a stand, or we're gonna do all the talking. She just stands here. So, but tell everybody what your website address is in English. www. What? Do you know?
It is a
dog.
big-
Is it dogcat.com?
we have a mail. We have a website.
Oh yeah, but
And
what's the
website,
address?
Dogcat. Yeah.
www.dogcat.com.
Yeah.
and then and that's the easiest way to find you. And if people want to donate, is that on the? I'm going to have some links on the for you guys.
We have links on the website too.
Okay.
For donations, and we have PayPal, and we have account.
Hey, do you guys have? Do you guys have? I don't remember this, and I've been on the website, but do you guys have where you can link if somebody wants? Is Amazon.com? Is Amazon here? Do they deliver here?
Yeah, we and we
have
the
the link
English
for that?
version. We have English version too
Okay.
of website, and
But
you can.
if somebody goes to Amazon, they can have it delivered to you guys here. That's here.
Yeah,
So there's another way to do that as well.
they on site you inside you can see links.
Okay.
And you can see I think account too.
Okay.
Account
Good.
euro,
It's going to
euro
be in the
and
description too for everybody that's
dollars.
listening. But if people go to I want people to go to your website, see everything you're doing. One of the other things for you guys listening, one of the things that I saw today, these different is I'm calling them suites, which is like a little house for each, but they're all attached. And again, look at my social media, either on my name or the podcast name For Real. But you can actually support an individual suite. You can donate for that. You can donate to build new ones because it seems like it just never stops growing in this thing. So there's ways to do it, and there's recognition for it and all that. It's a cool thing to do. Maybe in my mind, if I'm just thinking about it, like a Christmas present for the family. Say we just helped this one suite for the animals there. There's different things to do that. Now I'm going to have Alexandra tell us now in Ukrainian the address for the website, all your social media. See, and you can tell she talks. Watch in Ukrainian. Go ahead.
Я хочу сказати,
Louder.
так, я хочу сказати, що самому великому, найбільшому притулку потрібна допомога. І ми були б дуже раді, якщо б всі долучилися до того, щоб притулку надавалась допомога. Можна всіляко допомогти, і фінансово допомогти, і кормами допомогти, і можна розповсюджувати інформацію про наших тваринок. І це було б чудово, тому що адопція – це дуже важливо. Найбільший притулок України, найбільший притулок Європи чекає на допомогу. Він тримається, незважаючи на війну. Нам дуже складно, але ми тримаємося завдяки людям, які нас підтримують.
I think you just finished. So one last thing before we get to the joke. Is there one last thing you want to say to everybody to help you guys out that you want to just kind of make your plea, say, hey, please help us or whatever that you guys want to add on? And guys, I'm doing this. I know I sound like I keep asking for stuff, but if you have to be here to see it, and whatever help you can do will be really worth it. It's a pretty amazing thing to see.
Amazing.
One last thing you want to tell everybody that would help you guys out.
And we'd like to
We like to have dogs listen to us.
Our dogs say that help us, please. Help us.
That you couldn't say it better than that. Let's just go with that.
Help us, please.
Yeah, here. Look at us doing that. Anyways, now for my favorite time, and I know everybody out there is cringing. Well, I've got my silly animal joke for the day. These guys, I didn't tell them ahead of time before coming here because I knew they weren't going to do it anyways. So here's my joke for the day. I'm going to ask you two. What dog is the best with time?
Hmm.
Oh, you don't know? Come on, you should know this. Okay, for everybody, I know you're going to be cringing. The dog that's best with time is a watchdog. Yep, I know. But listen, guys, seriously, as I always tell everybody, please, if you want to have your kids on the show, your grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever, if you want to be on the show, send me an email at mkyleforrealpodcast.com. Also, you can send me an email if you've got a great idea for a podcast. Obviously, I'll travel a long way to do one too. So if you've got somebody that you want me to come out to, I'd certainly consider that too. Again, mkyleforrealpodcast.com. But, keep listening, keep following. These kind of organizations don't get a lot of recognition out there, and this is a great opportunity to do that. But most importantly, to you, girls, Alexandra, and both of you guys, thank you so much for being on the show. I really, really appreciate you being on.
And we say that we are very glad to see Mark in our shelter.
Yeah. But anyways, thanks so much for being on here. And for everybody else who's listening, always from the bottom of my heart, seriously, thanks for listening. For real.
That concludes this episode of For Real with your host, Mark Kyle. For previous and future episodes of For Real, listen via all major podcast streaming sites.